All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. We're going to call the March 2nd, 2026 meeting of the Merced City Council to order. We're going to begin just with a moment of silence. So if everybody could please stand and bow your heads for a brief moment of silence. All right, thank you. Now we'll proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance, and if Councilmember Harris could be so kind to lead us in the pledge.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris.
Okay, agenda item D, roll call. Councilmember DuPont,
Present.
Tao,
Present.
Harris,
Present.
Smith,
Present.
Zhang,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle, here, and Mayor Serrato.
Here.
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to remind the audience that if they wish to address the City Council, they must submit a green request to speak form located at the podium in the back of the chamber. Additionally, citizens can submit public comment to the City Council electronically no later than 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Comments received before the deadline will be sent to the City Council and will be part of the record and will be mentioned as part of the written petitions and communications portion of the agenda, and they will also be posted on the city's website. Material may be emailed to cityclerk@cityofmerced.gov, and any correspondence received after 1 p.m. will be distributed to the City Council and retained for the official record. Also, for those audience members who wish to hear the council meeting translated into Spanish or Hmong, please let our interpreters know.
Good evening. Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Mirna Zárate y soy intérprete en español. Si ocupan mi ayuda, voy a estar aquí sentada. Muchas gracias.
Nhớ rằng nên lên từ xa tàu lô trong sĩ thảm mà nó chạy lỗ mong mà chỉ chỉ cú rồi nó cú yo chạy lỗ mong rồi này ở trong đầu.
In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, it is hereby announced that the City Council sits either simultaneously or serially as a Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and/or successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency. City Council members receive a monthly stipend of $500 by charter for sitting as the City Council, and the mayor receives an additional $100 each month as part of the adopted budget and Resolution 2024-78. The Public Financing and Economic Development Authority, Parking Authority, and successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency receive no compensation. Agenda item E, report out of closed session.
There is no report out of closed session.
Agenda item F, ceremonial matters. F1, presentation of 2 ballistic vests for K-9 officers Zeke and Mako.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. There's 2 stars of the show tonight, or like true stars of the show, they're a little late in arriving, so we're going to wait for them. So we're going to pass that now, and then we can take up written petitions and public comment, and then we'll come back to our ceremonial item.
Okay. Agenda item G, written petitions and communications. Mayor, the Clerk's office received emails from Ashley Marie Suarez and Rosie Campagna regarding public comment. The Clerk's office also received an email from Eric Pleim regarding agenda item K2. The emails were received by the 1 p.m. deadline. They were sent to council and posted on the city's website. Any emails received after the 1 p.m. deadline will be sent to council. Agenda item H, public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. The mayor may propose a further limit to the time available for all speakers at the discretion of the City Council in order to accommodate as many speakers as possible. State law prohibits the City Council from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period. Members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon to speak during the discussion of that item. And Mayor, I currently have 6 request to speak forms.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll have 3 minutes each, and please call the speakers at your convenience.
Okay, if I can get the first 3 speakers to the podium to my left. Rosie Campagna, Nolan Moss Goldsby, and Karthik Prasad.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, Rosie, welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Rosie Campagna,
And I know high-speed rail is not on tonight's agenda, and I understand no action can be taken on it tonight, but because this council has already discussed it before and because I've commented on it before, I want to briefly raise it again during public comment. Sorry, I'm a little stuffy. I'm getting over a cold, but I'm speaking because the funding rules around high-speed rail may be changing, and that has real implications for Merced. Under current law, SB 198 put guardrails on new funding commitments outside the Merced to Bakersfield segment until June 30, 2030, or until that segment is fully funded, whichever comes first. It also allowed a limited exception for certain efficiency-related activities capped at $500 million. SB 1411 would remove that dollar cap and allow commitments outside the Merced to Bakersfield segment in any amount for additional activities described as maximizing efficiency. That matters here because the High-Speed Rail Authority's draft 2026 business plan still describes completion of the Merced to Bakersfield segment as the path forward and states that the 171 miles from Merced to Bakersfield are currently under design and construction. So the question for Merced residents is straightforward. If the original law set a fiscal boundary and the new bill loosens that boundary, what does that mean for priorities, timing, and accountability? And so this isn't really just about politics, it's about public process, fiscal clarity, and making sure Merced is not left guessing while the rules are changing. And so I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Darren DuPont for helping bring SB 1411 to our attention publicly. I saw it on Facebook as well, so thank you for that, because regardless of where people land on the issue, it's so important that residents know these changes and that they're being discussed. And so I would really encourage the council to continue speaking about the high-speed rail in public view and to consider a future agenda item if additional updates or local impacts need to be addressed. Also, additionally, if I have 20 seconds left, I want to flag another issue residents should be paying attention to. The High-Speed Rail Authority has discussed the idea of capturing some of the increase in property and sales tax revenue around station areas. Just a couple sentences more, but anyways, I think that that's a really important thing to keep in mind.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you. The latest business plan just came out too, so a lot of good reading there as well. All right, next speaker.
Hi, my name is Nolan Moss Goldsby. I've never done this before, but I'm from UC Merced. I am the external vice president of the African Student Union. I'm really just here for a short time to acknowledge how over the past year, the academic world has been under attack and severely underfunded, which has left organizations such as my own in a difficult position when we try to provide for our community. The best way that we have found to combat this fallout has been just trying to make our community stronger, bind together, find collaborators and supporters, people like yourselves who care about their community to show up for each other, show up for you, and we hopefully reciprocate as much care as we can. Mainly, I want to let you guys know that our campus events are open to the public. You, your families, your friends are always welcome to come, and the more that the UC sees how much our organization connects to the community, the better things get for all of us. Upcoming in April 11th, we have our 15th annual cultural showcase, the African Student Union on campus with UC Merced. And we hope to see you, your friends, or even your organizations that you might want to represent as vendors, maybe sell merchandise or just spread the message of what you do. And again, this will be April 11th, 2026, and it's open for all. Thank you. My name is Nolan.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Prasad.
All right. Alrighty. Evening, Mayor, Council, City of Merced. My name is Karthik Prasad here on behalf of Congressman Adam Gray. And for once, this one should be pretty short. As last week, the House Appropriations Committee released their guidelines on community project funding. The deadline is Friday, March 6th, and the portal for submissions open today. It's a very short window, and while we've been in communication with city staff and members of the council, I wanted to make sure everyone's on the same page on this, as this is the one time I can guarantee we're all here under the same roof. So just want to make sure that's that flagged for you guys, because it's an incredibly short deadline. Last year, the congressman was able to secure $16 million for community project funding in our district. 2 of those projects were in Merced, $3 million for Bear Creek's restoration project and $800,000 for road construction in Merced. I know city staff are working pretty hard to get some submissions ready for us, and we're eager to see them. So March 6th, mark your calendars. It's going to be tight, but we're more than happy to work with you guys to make sure that we're able to meet that. Thank you.
Thank you. No, appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Jennifer.
Okay, if I can get the next 3 speakers, Alexandra Rizzo, Patricia Pratt, and Arvin Mendoza.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Alexandra Rizzo, and I serve as a field representative for Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria. I am based out of the Merced District Office, and I serve Merced, Atwater, Planada, La Grande, and Livingston, acting as a direct connection between our region and the Assemblywoman. My role is to assist residents with state-related issues, advocate for our community, and ensure Merced and the surrounding areas have access to state programs and resources, while also making sure local voices are heard in Sacramento. I want to briefly share a few updates from 2025. This year, California took meaningful steps to address the affordability crisis. The legislature passed historic reforms to build more housing, cut red tape, and improve affordability. Assemblywoman Soria was proud to author and support legislation that directly benefits our region. This includes AB 36, which helps smaller rural cities and counties qualify for state housing funds, AB 457, which expands streamlined approvals and CEQA exemptions for affordable farmworker housing in Fresno, Madera, and Merced counties, and AB 639, which reduces unnecessary regulations, burdens on agriculture, water infrastructure. She also authored AB 848 and AB 849, strengthening patient safety in healthcare settings. Assemblywoman Soria has secured important investments locally, including $5 million for flood infrastructure in Merced County from the state budget, over $120,000 in direct community investments for our private partners, over 1,500 backpacks given to school children in Merced County via back to school resource fair and backpack giveaway, over 1,000 families benefiting from Thanksgiving turkeys via our annual Operation Gobble, and Christmas gifts via our annual holiday open house posada, and $31,000 for a Young Legislators Program and educational scholarships. This year, Assemblywoman Soria has introduced 18-bill legislative package focused on ag, water, healthcare, housing, higher education, public safety, and lowering costs for working families. As the bill develops, we will progress and engage the city of Merced to seek letters of support for specific bills. Assemblywoman Soria values strong partnerships like communities like Merced. Our office is always available to assist with state resources and navigating agencies and supporting local priorities. I'm here to listen, collaborate, and work alongside you all to support and strengthen our community. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to staying connected.
Thank you, Al. All right, Ms. Pratt.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patricia Pratt. I am a local artist, business owner of Creepy Kawaii, and member of Cien Ojos Studio in downtown Merced. I'm coming to speak to you today about Merced Art Festival, which is something that we've currently secured private funding for in downtown Merced, May 18th through 24th. The festival includes 5 large-scale murals, 10 installations across downtown, live performances, and art engagement activities within downtown businesses. Originally, we had planned on a street closure on Canal Street, May 23rd, to celebrate and have kind of, a big thing where people come out from the public and they see the artwork happening in real time. Unfortunately, because of the new street closure ordinance, we are unable to do that. So we're working with city staff to pivot and change directions when it comes to how we'll be actually celebrating the big day of. We're currently looking for additional fundraising to make the festival more enhanced, and we will be launching our social media campaign this week. I've provided you with some information, kind of a little overview and different options for sponsorship. We will also be opening a call for artists, businesses, volunteers, and partnerships. So we hope that we can partner with all of you as well. We have already started partnerships with UC Merced, the Merced Arts Council, Parks and Recreation, and we're just giving you guys a little bit of information. We look forward to coming back and speaking to you further. If you guys have any questions or would like to meet with any of our event coordination staff, we are more than happy to do that. My business card is there, and one of us will make time to meet with you.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Really excited. Very cool. Round of applause. All right.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Irvin Mendoza. I'm also one of the owners here at Cienojos. I'm also the creator of Central Valley Film Club, and I'm just pretty much going to piggyback off of what my good friend Patty talked about. This is a huge milestone for not only artists, but also for the city of Merced, because recently we got that Cultural Art District title, and that was something very much. It was a process to get, and also we want to show what Merced is about. We have 3 goals that we're trying to do with the film festival, and I'll keep it brief. It's going to be safety, visibility, and tourism. The safety comes from activating and beautifying underused spaces. We want to do the murals on places of downtown Merced and on locations that aren't usually seen as much. We also want to create visibility by creating bold landmarks that bring pride and attention to downtown. The tourism, what we want to do, like Patty mentioned, our original plan was to close down Canal Street. And with the new ordinance in play, I think you have to wait 6 weeks after somebody closes down the street. We're still working with the city to see what else we can do, but we want to increase tourism because this thing is something that we would like to do annually. This is privately funded, so the taxpayers don't have to worry about that. That's something that we're trying to really just, the only thing that we're, I guess, like asking for the city is to just be open to the new ideas that we're trying to do. I think something that we have really created lately here in downtown Merced is the culture. The culture is here. We have businesses that are very much flourishing right now, and I think we're experiencing a renaissance that is very much seen. And with that being said, this week we're going to launch our campaign. We're going to see what we can provide so everybody can get an idea of what it is that we're going to do. And I think that's pretty much it. So so look out for Merced Art Festival. The big day is going to be May 23rd, and it's going to be a week-long event where we're going to participate with downtown and businesses so we can have a very eventful and packed downtown. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'm really excited. We can take up.
Mayor, I do have one more request to speak for. Rochelle April.
Rochelle. For you. Jeremy, do you guys need a little bit, or are you ready to go? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Merced community. My name is Rochelle. I've been a resident of Merced. In 19 days, it'll be 61 years, so I've been here a long time. I haven't been here lately, but all the murders that have been going on in Merced since this year started, it's really, really hurting me to the heart because these are babies killing babies. I've been out of the game for a while, and what I mean by that is when COVID hit the McNamara Youth Center, we had to shut it down because the city, and we appreciate it, they found that, you know, it's probably not a good time to have it open, so we shut it down. And in shutting it down like that, we kind of lost touch with some of our youth. But as you can see, raise your hand, Ruby. Ruby is one of the youth from the McNamara Youth Center. We've had a 10-year relationship. She was 9 years old when I first met her, and now she's 19. She has a job. Met her in the grocery store today, and, you know, I heard, Miss Rochelle, and so I'm looking around, who's that? It was Ruby, and I named her Ruby Tuesday, you know, the restaurant. And so we just started talking, and I told her I was coming to the city council meeting, and she said, well, what's that? And I shared with her what it is. And I said, is there anything in your community that you need help with or you think needs attention? And she was like, yeah, we need a four-way stop sign at the corner where she lives. And she lives a block away from Martin Luther King and 11th Street, is it? 12th Street, I'm sorry. And I told her this is a place that you come and you share that information with the mayor and the city council members, and they act upon what you ask them, and they go check it out. And if they do see that it's a problem because of so many accidents, then they will make a move. But I said all that to say, she's a youth that I met 10 years ago. She is one of the fortunate ones that did not get involved in a lot of stuff where she could not be here. Was that simply because of the McNamara Youth Center? Was that because Kelly and I took our time out to work with these youth, to give them something they didn't have, to help them with homework when their parents couldn't help them, to give them internet when they didn't have, or even computers? We have got to do better by our young people. Everything that's coming up now is not for the youth. You know, I know there's a budget for youth, and I'll bring it up again real quick. When I was a youth here in Merced, we had a budget of $700,000. Why did that disappear? Because there's more youth now than there was then, but we got to get a bigger budget so that we can meet the needs of our youth so they can stop killing one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Back to ceremonial items?
Yep, back to ceremony.
Okay, agenda item F, ceremonial matters. F1, presentation of 2 ballistic vests for K-9 officers Zeke and Mako.
Thank you. And Rochelle, Ruby, there's folks in back too, if you want to talk about, we got some city staff in back there as well. They can help you with this, with the stop sign issue. Thank you. All right. All right. Come forward, Lieutenant Salyers. All right. I can turn it over to you, Jeremy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, City Council members. Tonight we're here, we have Yosemite Gateway Chapter 126 here, who's going to donate 2 ballistic vests for our K-9 unit. And before I have them speak on their donation, I'd just like to talk a little bit about our K-9 unit.
All right, everybody, please keep it down.
A little bit about our K-9 unit. It's headed up by Sergeant Horn. We have Officer Zazueta, Officer McCannon, and Officer Hernandez. We have 3 K-9s. As of the beginning of this year, we have 68 deployments for our K-9 officers. That includes searches for narcotics, firearms, and building searches. So a little bit of information on our K-9 unit, and then I'll let Yosemite Gateway Chapter 126 speak.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having us. We're here tonight on behalf of the Yosemite Gateway Chapter Order of the Eastern Star here in Merced. I'm Rich Westfall, I'm worthy patron, and this is Janet Mason. She is our worthy matron. A quick introduction. Our order was founded in 1850, and we are affiliated with the Freemasonry. And consist of both men and women, and are currently consisting of 10,000 chapters in 18 countries. Our purpose is to promote charity, truth, and fellowship. One of our favorite projects is the Brady K-9 Fund. This fund was organized when it was discovered a need for ballistic vests to protect the K-9s who protect our communities. The goal is to provide every working dog in America with a lightweight ballistic vest. The last line of defense, the LOF systems, Canine Defense Systems, Canine Street Fighter, is used by law enforcement and special forces canine teams globally. It is lightweight design, rapid deployment, and outlast thermal management technology make the Street Fighter a versatile, comfortable harness working dogs can wear for their entire shift, ensuring that they are always protected when confronting a threat. The goal is that both human and canine partners come home alive and safe. We are continuing to raise money for more vests. We hope that this year we'll be able to provide vests to the Merced and Mariposa County Sheriff's Departments, and we are planning events over the year to help raise money, and we hope you'll join us and bring your checkbooks. I would like now to introduce Bill Hunt, our Grand Sentinel of the Grand Chapter Order of the Eastern Star, and his wife, Gail Hunt. They are the co-chairman of the Brady's Canine Fund for California.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Bill Hunt, and this is my wife, Gail. Mayor, city council members, officers of Merced Police Department, we're excited to see the presentation here by Yosemite Gateway Chapter. This project is near and dear to our hearts as we travel across this state each week. In fact, we're just down in San Pedro and Ventura and the Southern California over the last couple of weekends presenting Brady's Canine Project there. And I wanted to offer a warm fraternal greetings from our state leaders, Terry Bauman, who is our worthy Grand Matron, and from our worthy Grand Patron, Will McQuarter. They are our bosses and appointed us to the positions with helping the Brady's Canine Project. So Brady's partnered with the Order of the Eastern Star in California in October, going into the 25 year in October of 2024. And it's carried through this year, and it's rumored that it may carry on for the next couple of years, and we're hoping so, because we truly understand what these canine officers, the dangers that they are facing when they are in the community working with your human officers. And it's our feeling that these officers deserve to come home just as much as the human officers do, and they need that vital organ protection that these vests provide. Gail's going to talk a little bit about some of the numbers that we've done over the last year and a half, but we thank you for allowing us to be here and present these vests to your canine officers.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I just wanted to brief you on this project. Has been going on since 2024. And between 2024 and November of 24 and November of 25, we've raised over $50,000 for these vests for the dogs. They cost about $1,200. So with the continued project, we don't know the final numbers for this year, but we do have 25 vests that we've either presented to the canines, police departments, or currently on order. So we're very passionate for this project and hope to save lives for our human officers along with our canines. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. We'll invite you all down here and all right. Give everybody a second to come down and set up, and then we'll turn it back over to Lieutenant Salyers. What's going on, Jeff?
Mike, how many pounds those vests? How many pounds those vests? The dog vest, how many pounds? Yeah.
You good? You got anything else?
I was just letting you take a picture first real quick. Okay. I was just going to tell him thank you.
Sit down.
We also have a little bag of treats for the dogs and,
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Big one.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Big one.
Dogs. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much for everything. Jerry, we got concluding comments?
Just real quick before everybody leaves, Yosemite Gateway, we just wanted to say thank you from the police department, and we appreciate it tremendously, your donation to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Oh, shoot. Oh, sweet. Yes. Sure.
Mayor, while the photo op's taking place, I want the community to understand the vital role our canines play in our law enforcement. Just this week alone, one of these dogs helped recover a large quantity of narcotics from the street, as well as several $1,000s in drug money that was running through the city of Merced. And they are single-handedly responsible for helping us de-escalate situations by arriving on scene, and they are probably the main driver to help us reduce use of forces in the city last year by 10%. So this team does an outstanding job. They work. We have all 7-day-a-week coverage with our canines. And they're not just tools like other police. They're part of our police family, and we're so happy to have them. And I believe they just took 3rd place this last week in a national competition here locally in Fresno. So we're so proud of them and all the hard work they do, including Sergeant Horn and Lieutenant Sawyers.
Thank you. You're cool. All right, thank you all again. We appreciate the generosity. Thank you. I'll give me a second to clear out, and we'll start consent, Jen. So they come after the snacks in my desk.
Okay, agenda item I, consent calendar.
All right, consent. Anyone from the council have any items on the consent agenda which they would like to see pulled for separate consideration? Jennifer, anything from the public?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
All right, back to council for discussion and/or a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Boyle Harris.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle and a second by Councilmember Harris. The motion will include agenda item I7, the adoption of ordinance 2588, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending chapter 10.50.010, establishment, and agenda item I8, the adoption of ordinance 2589, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, amending chapter 10.20.190, warrants, stop signs. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. On to our public hearing for tonight.
Agenda item J, public hearings. J1, public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity for Hastings Patrol Services to engage in private patrol services.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, Sergeant Renner.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The item before you is a request from Hastings Patrol Services, a private security firm, for approval of a city business license to operate in the city of Merced. Hastings Patrol Services is a licensed security contractor based out of Alameda. The company currently provides security services in Santa Clara County and is seeking authorization to conduct business in Merced County, including the city limits. The company holds a valid private patrol operator license issued by the California Bureau of Security and Investigative Services. The license is in good standing and valid through May 31st of this year. The company is also in good standing with the California Department of Consumer Affairs. At present, Hastings Patrol Services employs 2 security guards, which includes the qualified manager. The company maintains 1 active contract in Santa Clara County and has 2 pending contracts to provide security services in the city of Merced. A background review was conducted and confirmed that the business and qualified manager are in good standing. There is 1 prior disciplinary action on record with the California Department of Consumer Affairs. In September 2022, the company received a citation for failing to maintain accurate and current training records for its employees. They received a $1,000 fine, administrative fine, and the matter has since been resolved. And there have been no subsequent violations or compliance issues. After looking into the matter, well, there's no anticipated impact on city resources. And based on a review and the company's good current standing, this item is ready for council consideration.
Thank you, Sergeant Rinder. Any questions? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Jennifer, do we have any requests to speak from the public on this item?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Gentlemen, this is the time for the public hearing on this item as to whether or not Hastings Patrol Services should be authorized to conduct business here in the city of Merced. Okay, seeing no request to speak, we'll close the public hearing. We'll bring it back to council for additional questions, discussion, and/or a motion.
Motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Zhang, pending discussion, and we'll turn it over to Councilmember Zhang.
Yeah, just reiterating what I say every time an item like this comes to council. I'm not fond of private security. I think there's more accountability with regards to public officers, and so I am not in favor of extending or having another private patrol in the city of Merced.
Okay. Comments are noted. Any additional requests to speak or discussion? Okay, seeing none, Jennifer will call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember DuPont. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2026-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Merced, California, granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Hastings Patrol Services. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Oops. And the motion passes with Councilmember Zhang voting no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, agenda item K, action items. K1, mid-year budget review for fiscal year 25-26. General fund supplemental appropriations in the amount of $157,400 and $652,545 in budget amendments in various funds.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our mid-year budget report, and to our finance officer, Venus Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, I'll be presenting the mid-year budget review for fiscal year 25-26. As part of that, we'll also review some closing fund balances for fiscal year 24-25, give the mid-year update for 25-26, and then we'll review some recommendations for the current fiscal year. So our fiscal year ended June 30 of 25. And so now that we've finished up all the transactions, we're currently in our audit process with our external auditors. We do have some information to share with you about how we ended the year compared to how we thought we would end the year. So in the general fund for fiscal year 24-25, we thought we would end the year at 11.7 million as fund balance. We're actually a little ahead there. We're $2.2 million to the positive, ending at about 14 million. In development services, we thought we'd end at 2.1 million. We're actually ending up at 2.6 million. So both of these are, well, general fund, we actually have a little bit more revenue and some savings in expenses, which is where we get the 2.2. In development services, we've actually had some savings in the expense areas. Parks and community services is pretty close to ending up where we thought. They ended at 25,000. We thought they'd end at 16,000. The airport is ending at 175,000. We thought they would end the year at 36,000, so they're 140,000 positive. And again, there's some expenditures there where they had some savings. Measure C, because of the positions being in the public safety portion of Measure C and the old Measure C, we combined this balance for you. And so we thought we would end the year at 5.1 million. We're actually at 5.6 million, so we're positive there, a little over $400,000, again, due to salary savings and some expenditure savings. In Measure Y, we ended at about $1 million. In the budget, we thought we would end at 657,000. So again, there's some savings there. Not all the funds were used in the police area. They had some savings from temporary positions. And then in the discretionary portion of Measure Y, there was some savings there too. The one area where we did fall short, and we did come to you a few months ago asking for additional funding for housing administration. So although we asked for an additional $218,000 to try to make them whole, we did end up still negative here. And in a future slide, I'll kind of show you why we left that negative. So some of the areas that the general fund supplements and has historically is in development services, parks and community services, and the airport. For 24-25, there was only supplement for parks and community services of 1.6 million, and they actually did use 100% of that supplement from the general fund. So there were no savings in that area. So now we'll move into the 25-26 mid-year update. So today, staff has come to council requesting additional appropriations from the general fund. And so this is the specifics on what you have approved so far as appropriations. So there was community assessment and public opinion survey consultant. You approved an appropriation of $53,250 for that. There was the maintenance district assessment ballot costs. So this was $16,546. For those maintenance districts where the assessments, the increased assessments were approved, we will actually be seeking reimbursement for that in fiscal year 26-27. So we will get a bit of this back. It just won't be in this current year. For the Lou Edwards Group engagement and consulting services, you approved $104,375. And then for the HDL consultant fees for the business license ordinance and the fee study, you approved an appropriation of $50,000. So net appropriations is $224,171. There's also some requested recommendations for appropriating from the general fund tonight. And if you do approve those, which we'll go into a little bit more detail in future slides, but those total $157,400. So the total for the current year would be $381,571. So just to review the general fund, what we originally budgeted and what was adopted to start July 1st of 2025 compared to the revised budget now. So we estimated we would begin the year at 11.7. Again, we're up a little bit, 2.2 million. So we're starting the year at 14 million. We have revised revenue compared to the original adopted. We're up 383,862. Revised expenditures, a little bit more there, 243,364. So we're estimating the year to end at about 9.7 million. We have to keep 5% of that as general fund reserve contingency. And so the unreserved, unencumbered general fund balance is estimated to be $6.3 million by the end of the fiscal year. So a lot goes into the revised budget. The budget resolution allows us to true up capital projects, to true up grant carryovers, to bring over encumbrances. And so all of that is in addition to the appropriations that you approved. So all of that coming over is what's creating the revised budget. So just looking at our revenues and expenditures through December, which is your mid-year point, right? This is a mid-year update. So we're trying to give you that information. So expense in the general fund is estimated at $68.1 million for the entire year. Midway through the year, we have spent $33.5 million, which is 45% of the budget. On the revenue side, we're estimating 63.9. We've received so far 15.3%, which is 27% of the budget. So even though that seems low, that's actually a really good number. Typically around this time, we've received about 24%. We're actually up a little bit. And that's because of the way that we receive property tax. Property tax is received in January. And so you won't see that number in here, but we have received that now. And then on the expenditure side, we tend to be in the 49-50% area, and so we've actually spent a little bit less than we normally would at this time frame. So now we'll get into a little bit of detail about the sales tax. So we have received 2 reconciled quarters. At the time of putting together the presentation, we had only received 1 reconciled quarter with all the data behind it. We met with HDL, our sales tax consultant, and so they have told us that we are up 11% on a cash basis. So we've received $4.6 million for third quarter, which is your July through September timeframe. So that's 27% of the budget. Of course, as long as we're seeing 25%, we're hitting our quarterly amount based on budget. From an economic standpoint, we're up only 6%. And you can see all the major industry groups that are up in that quarter. So it's most of them except for business and industry and food and drugs are the 2 that are down. Some other sales tax areas where we receive money is Measure C. So we are up 10%. So 10% equates to about $222,000. And then in Measure V, we're up 17.6 through December. So this is money we received through MCAG on the half-cent sales tax. And so 17.6% equates to about $120,000 extra. And also we've received just the dollar amount data for the fourth quarter sales tax. So that would be your October through December, which includes your Christmas time, right? And so we are up 5.5%. In that quarter. So these 3 areas make up 55% of the general fund revenue. So I like to give a little bit more information on these areas. And we did talk about sales tax. So through January, we've received $7.4 million in sales tax, which is 43.5%. Through today, it's not on here, right? But I can share that through today, which is 2 quarters worth of sales tax. We've received $9.2 million, which is 54% of the budget. So we've exceeded the 50% mark, which is all positive, all good news. Secured property tax, again, we received that in January, and so we've received the first installment, which is 54.4% of the budget. So we'll receive a second installment close to a similar amount in May, and then usually we get a cleanup around August. And then vehicle and lube backfill, we've received $5.3 million against our $10.3 million budget. So that's 51.2%. So these are all very positive numbers. We're exceeding our budget, which will hopefully continue. And this slide just shows you kind of over the last 5 years how that has gone up or down. And you can see compared to last year, our sales tax has gone up 11.4%. Last year was down 1.9% at this time frame. Secured property tax has gone up 5.4%. Last year it was only 2.6%. Vehicle in lieu has gone up 6.4% compared to last year for the first installment. And the one area where we are seeing a downtrend is in the cannabis Measure Y tax. So we are seeing for the first 2 quarters of the fiscal year, which is July through December, we're seeing a 4% decrease. So for cannabis tax, that equates to about a $30,000 decrease. If you take it in the 20% increments, it's about $6,000 for each of the areas, right? Police, fire, Parks and Rec, and then you have your discretionary, which would be $12,000 decrease. So unless there's any questions on that, I will go into the recommendations for current fiscal year.
Any questions for our finance officer? Councilmember Jean.
Venus, can we go back a few slides? And for the, let me see on my screen. If we look at slide 4, can you remind me again what that $2.2 million difference is? Was that cost savings or was that revenue?
Is it this one or this one?
No, keep going.
Forward or
The
back?
2.251 million.
This one?
That one, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the first row, the $2.25 million, $2.25 million difference, is that, just remind me because I might have missed it. Was that from cost savings or is that from tax revenue?
So that is a mixture. We got a little bit more revenue than expected, a little bit in the RDA residual area, secured property taxes, and it's also savings. So when the departments don't spend all the money that they're budgeted, then there'll be some expenditure savings. So it's a mix of 2 things that create that $2.2 million number.
Awesome, thank you. And then if we go down to, I think, slide 8.
Sorry, they're not numbered, so I'm.
It would be the one with current fiscal year 2025-26.
This one?
Oh, sorry, they all have the same title. Yes, that one. So for the revised budget, both the original budget and the revised budget has the same 5% contingency on there. Is there a reason why we don't increase it under the revised budget?
So we're constantly revising our budget based on what the budget resolution allows and then coming back to council. So we've made it a policy to not change it. Once we create it for the budget year, it remains that way. And it's based on operating budget. And so typically the operating isn't what changes. What tends to change are grant carryovers or capital project type of carryovers.
Awesome, good to know, thank you. And if we look at the next slide, for this one, it indicates that it's through to December, and then we have like 2 slides down, it's through to January. Is there any reason why we don't align the 2?
It just has to do with timing. I mean, it's supposed to give you a mid-year budget, right? But if I don't give you this information here, for instance, for secured property tax and vehicle in lieu, there would be no information because we don't get that payment until January. So if you want me to align it, I can try to make it become through January, that other projection slide. If you want me to align it, I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to update the one with the bar graph on there to go through to January if we have data through to January, simply because the math doesn't add up when I'm looking at the 2.
Yeah, and it won't, because that's why I try to make the notes at the bottom that says through January, and then the other slide will say through December.
Yes, but I mean, here they look way off, right? And then I understand that in January we receive this property tax, but just having this bar graph go through to January would be really helpful. And then just a question on the next, one slide up, on the quarter.
This one?
Yeah. And what am I doing? Just making sure I understand the terminology here. So when we're talking about fiscal year 25, 26, that's from January through to June, is that correct? Oh, I mean,
For this quarter?
July through to June.
It's July through September.
Correct. And then when we say third quarter, though, we're referring to that as from the calendar year, is that accurate?
Yes, because the state works off of a calendar year, even though we're fiscal. So for them, it's the third quarter.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. To me, I was confused when it says fiscal year 25, 26 in the third quarter, which I would normally think it's in
Right.
January through April.
Yeah, that can be confusing.
The third quarter is the first quarter.
Yes.
And then for the one
The second
regarding,
half first. Very well.
for the graph regarding Measure Y, is there, so that first year, the 2020, with 637% increase, is there any way to normalize that number? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's an inflated number where there was a misreporting, we collected too much, and then in 2022, because that error was realized, we did not collect as much, and so that's why there's a 56% decrease?
That's correct, yes. There was where they had over-reported, and then they ended up taking credits in a future year. We could work on trying to, so that it's not so skewed, right? Is that what you're trying to say you want?
Yes, because the way the graph is presented, it looks like it's a sharp decline since 2020.
Right.
And so if we actually normalize the number to what was supposed to be collected, it would hopefully show a more stable graph.
Right. We could do that. We tend to show things on a cash basis because even though we got it way back then, we spent it, right? And so now we have this huge reduction. And so it's about how our cash flow is happening and how it's impacting our departments. But if you wanted to see it more normalized, we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from too. It's just more of with when community sees them like that, they're thinking that, hey, we had a major drop off in sales, which may not be truly reflected in the numbers.
Yeah, I could work on that.
Awesome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, it's part of that. I mean, there's been research on this. Part of that's explained by the pandemic as well. During the pandemic, there was a heightened consumption of products that are subject to the Measure Y taxes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see that go down, but it won't, like, you're still going to see quite a jump. Just probably won't be that big.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Venus. I would like you to go back to your ending fiscal year 24-25 slide towards the beginning.
This one?
Yeah, I know more discussion to come. I don't want to blow past something that I think is really positive. And I think your department did a nice job. The council should take note and appreciate the fact that with the exception of housing administration that you're going to talk about, there was a strange unforeseen issue. But I mean, you guys really nailed the forecast. And I appreciate the fact that you conservatively estimated and came in the black, at least at this point in the year, with some of these funds that are dependent on the general fund. So I just want to make sure we note the fact that this is a win for your department, and I appreciate the stewardship that you have shown.
Thank you. I will say it's a collaborative effort with all of the departments. I mean, when we monitor, but we definitely talk to them, and we don't do the day-to-day with them. So once we talk to them and say, hey, you really have to watch this area, they do tend to listen to us, and they will work on that. And so that definitely helps us too.
On Measure Y, I mean, it looks like you're able to forecast Measure Y revenue, kind of back to my colleague's discussion earlier. Is your office basically throwing out 2020 through 22 and just looking at the more recent years to get a trend line?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then you don't have to go back to the slide, but there's the bar graph that shows expense over budget and revenue over budget. Isn't it true that over the course of a budget year, expenses are relatively constant, but revenue comes in later in the year?
That's correct. That's why you see that the expenditures at mid-year are more in that 49-50% range, because they're pretty constant. it's your salaries. You're going to have that every pay period, right? Versus the revenue coming in at different times, just depending on the type of revenue it is.
Okay. And you'd expect that revenue bar to catch up, so to speak?
Oh, yes.
As we get deeper in the year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Additional questions? All right. Venus, again, thank you. Thank you, as Councilmember Smith stated, for your wonderful stewardship over the city finances and good numbers, especially the general fund, the $2.21 million actual increase over the budgeted balance, our actual balance being $2.2 million better is certainly very, very good news. So, all right, done with the good news. Now on to the
requests.
The request. This is what happens when you have good news, then you're going to have requests.
Okay, so, we discussed with department heads if there's anything that they're needing or wanting to do for the current year, or if we're seeing some concerned, areas of concern. And so we go through this process, and so these are some of the requests that came forward. So in the city clerk area, the council had approved a remodel project for them due to safety concerns. And so that was $100,000. $20,000 of it was used for some design services and engineering. And so the request is to add an additional $20,000 to make up for that, to actually be put in the actual construction of the project. Fire has requested $60,000 for weed abatement. They know that code enforcement is a priority for the council, and they have not been able to put weed abatement funding in the budget, in their budget for a few years. And so they're wanting to add that now and be able to do some weed abatement projects on parcels that are not in compliance. Fire is also requesting AED replacements. This funding would come out of Measure Y for $60,000, and this has to do with compatibility with the new ambulance services. The current ones that they have are not compatible with the ambulance service that is now in place here in the city, and so they would like the funding for replacements. In the police department, they had requested $20,300 in software purchases, and during the budget process, finance in error excluded this funding from Measure Y, and so that software is still needed to be purchased by police, and so we're requesting that be appropriated in the Measure Y fund. For housing, we'll go into a little bit more detail on the two housing areas, but the request is to cover some administrative cost shortfalls in housing. So $77,400 would come from the general fund, and then $352,600 from the Affordable Housing Fund, and then $72,773 would cover the Cal Home Grant Administration shortfall, and that also would come out of affordable housing. The engineering division is requesting some additional appropriation for surveying equipment, scanning services, and project management. So they've seen some additional revenue due to Race Communications, some of the work that they've been doing and receiving revenue in, and so they're requesting some of that funding be used towards these areas. And then in the fleet area, the only way to kind of carry over money is to either encumber it, or if it's in a capital project. And some of the fleet purchases, although they made the big purchase of the actual vehicle, some of the equipment packages were not encumbered, and so the appropriation was lost. And so this is just requesting to reappropriate that funding to cover those equipment packages for some public works vehicles. So this is 3 or 4 of the vehicles, I think, and it's $109,645, and that money's coming out of the fleet replacement fund. Some other requests are the finance department is requesting to delete a payroll supervisor and add a senior accountant. So this position is same supervisor classification, same pay, so there's no fiscal impact. But the payroll supervisor is very specific to payroll only, and by making it a senior accountant, not only can it supervise payroll, but it can also help in other accounting tasks in the department. And then for PBID and TBID, we're asking for just authority to reconcile any actuals received for delinquencies. So when we budget for the program, we're budgeting, it's basically a pass-through. So when we assess at the county sends us the money. We keep a little bit for admin, but then the rest is just passed through to PBID. And so what we are not accounting for is the delinquencies. So we didn't get that money last year, but we're getting it now. And so we're not going to have enough appropriation to pass that through by the end of the year. And our agreements for PBID and TBID are very specific about the timing. So once we get money from the county or from hoteliers, we have so many days to pass it forward. And so we won't have the timing that we need to come to council every time we have something like that. So we're asking for authority just for whatever we receive to be able to reconcile that, appropriate it, and move it on to PBID and TBID. And so now this is where we get into the housing administration. So housing was reviewing their time and wherever they've been spending their time this fiscal year. And they have defined that they have used their time in affordable housing 82% of the time, and then to non-affordable housing projects 18% of the time. And so they are estimating a shortfall. So we came to, when we had the budget approved, beginning of the fiscal year, we had equal revenue and expense. So we had a balanced budget at that time. We came into ending the fiscal year short. And so when we came in short, we moved in what we thought we needed, and then we reduced some expenditures in the new year so that the revised budget would then come in balance. So that's where you see our beginning balance. Our revised revenue didn't change from the original, but we did reduce the expenses by $74,360. So that, again, it balanced our budget. Now that we're moving into budget for next year, looking at what are we actually going to accomplish for this year, we're actually seeing that we're going to have quite a bit of reduction in revenue. The way that housing is getting or estimated to get their housing this year was some CDBG funding, some home funding, and some low moderate income funding. And so where they're seeing a shortfall is in the home funding. So the projects that they were thinking they were going to do for home are not going to happen. And so they have quite a reduction in revenue. And so with that reduction, and then we went and said, okay, well, where can we also reduce expenses to try to help this? So then you see that their projected budget is $258,790 in revenue and $605,283 in expenditure, which still creates a shortfall of about $420,000, which is why the request is to try to fill that gap with affordable housing funding of $352,600, and then the non-affordable housing would come from a general fund transfer of $77,400. Do you have any questions on that before I move on?
Questions? Councilmember Harris.
It's probably going to come up later. I just wanted to make a request to add into the supplementals.
Okay. Additional questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed, Venus.
And then the other area of housing where we're making a request is due to the CalHome grant. So in October of 2022, we were awarded $2.5 million of a CalHome grant that expired. It was a 3-year grant, expired in October of 2025. So the grant funded a few first-time homebuyer loans of $803,000 and an owner-occupied rehab loan of almost $45,000. Of the grant funding, the city received $0 of administration, but they did team up with Self-Help to administer the program. And so the administration costs, based on the agreement that we had with Self-Help, was $110,000. Of that, the grant only reimbursed $37,264. So it leaves a shortfall of $72,773 that we have to fill. Self-Help did process 11 additional loans that equated to about $1 million, but they never finalized. They never moved forward. So we were never able to claim any kind of admin through the grant for those loans. So this is where we get a shortfall, and the request is a transfer from the Affordable Housing Fund to fill that gap. And the last slide here is, although there's no mid-year recommendation, I just wanted to bring to the attention that you might see something come later. From the time that we adopted the budget and created a budget for Parks and Community Services, there's been a lot of changes since that happened, some good and some not so good. So we had the fee increases that were approved in December. There have been some vacancies in the department, so there are some salary savings. We did get a zookeeper contribution of $200,000 over 3 years. So this, for the first year, there was $65,000 that was added to the budget for that. But we are seeing the reduction in Measure Y of 4% so far. And then we are seeing reduction in zoo revenue due to the construction that's happening. And then when we put together the budget, the thought that we were going to have an agreement with MCSD for an outdoor program of $61,000, and that did not happen. But what did happen is that we have agreements with them for youth sports based on student participation. So depending on how many students participate would tell us how much revenue we're going to receive. And so some of that is basically they're paying the fee for the participant. So it's not additional revenue completely, that we will see a little bit, but it won't be additional in the budgets. So because there's so many factors going on here, and we worked with the department the best we could to try to analyze, and it seems like they might make it through the year, but we're just not quite sure. So we just didn't want it to be a surprise if we came to the end of the year and might need a little bit of help to get them through. And then the last thing, even though I don't have a slide, is that you'll probably see coming in April is a request on SB 707. So the IT department and the city clerk's department have been working together to figure out what are the needs in order to implement that. That becomes effective July 1st. And so in order to get that off and running on July 1st, we will need things in place beforehand, which means starting this fiscal year in order to get that going. So they weren't quite ready with all those asks for mid-year, but they should be coming to you at some point in April with those asks.
Okay. Thank you. Venus, any additional questions before we take public comment, and we'll come back for discussion after that? Councilor Jean.
Venus, for the position change, the deleted payroll supervisor and then the senior accountant, considering that they have the same dollar amounts, is that going to create any sort of compaction issue?
No, it shouldn't, because they're same supervisory classification. It's just one of them is, all they can do is payroll, right? And so we want to be able to be more flexible with the tasks that we give them. And with the implementation of Tyler, although we will still need the same amount of people in that area, we think it will free up a little bit of time for that supervisor to be able to help with other areas.
Okay, thank you. And then for, you mentioned finalized 11 applications by self-help that didn't go through. What does that mean?
So I saw Scott grab the mic, so you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, thank you, Venus. I sent you some information of that a little bit before the meeting. So there were 11 applications that were actually pre-approved, meaning the families and everything had gone through the full process. Staff time is expended as well as self-help. Unfortunately, the families either chose not to move forward or a sale fell through. So could have been 11 more that proceeded to acquire a home, but in the end did not. So, yep.
Thank you. And then for the weed abatement, can you walk me through that process real quick? Because I was thinking, how does this connect over to code enforcement, if anything?
Yeah, we'll have Chief Wilson come up and explain their process for you.
Chief Wilson.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. So for weed abatement, for a number of years, we have not budgeted for forced cleaning. So it's something we want to bring back. So looking back at our fire data for 10 years of vegetation fires, we've had a pretty sharp increase over the last 10 years. So I believe it was back in 2015, we had about 275 vegetation fires. And 2024, we had about 847. So pretty significant increase. So our effort here is to take a proactive approach to weed abatement. So we're going to get out early in the spring here, right about almost now, about the time the grass starts to dry out. And we're going to do a survey of the entire city. We're going to identify lots that are hazardous or could present a hazard if they're not abated to the community. And then we're going to issue notices. And then we'll go back to a re-inspection. And if those lots do not comply, then we're going to utilize this funding to assign a contractor to abate the property. And then we will then forward on that bill to the property owners with an additional 15% administrative fee on top of that to recover our costs and our time.
Thank you. And so it sounds like there's not a current list of properties. It's more of you're going out there and doing that assessment as part of this process.
That's correct. But we are working with code enforcement. We're also working with GIS to utilize the database to identify the lots and where to put our resources, specifically lots that are not developed, things like that, where we're likely going to have those hazards. We're also working with code enforcement. So if they have any hazard lots that they've been dealing with that they need some assistance with, we're going to work with them to make sure we can help them and vice versa.
And then just making sure this isn't something that we could just, because you mentioned contractor as well. So this isn't something that the city could go out and cut the grass?
No, typically during this time, Public Works is pretty busy just taking care of the grass on the lots that the city owns. So I'd say their resources are probably tied up there. I don't want to speak on behalf of Public Works, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember DuPont.
Thank you, Mayor. One question, City Manager McBride, on the self-help administration costs. I was not on the council at the time, but we have an agreement with self-help enterprises and the city to administer the Cal Home project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And so through the grant process and through the process, they will process the loan applications, and that's through the agreement where they can ask for reimbursement for those administration costs.
Yes.
And then through the grant, we can't ask for those administration costs because it wasn't actualized in the sense of it wasn't used.
Venus, can you go back to the slide? The city didn't get any admin cost. So the thought was over the period of the full grant, that shortfall would get absorbed. But because we weren't able to process all the loans, let alone a little bit over the million of the 11 that didn't proceed forward that we just talked about, that's part of the reason why you get the shortfall. Yeah.
And so the grant reimbursed admin is for the self-help enterprises admin costs.
Yeah, not for the city, correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, one way to look at it is you could take a half full or half empty. One way to look at it is you could just forget the Cal Home side altogether. You could just say from the city's perspective, you're putting in a little bit over $70-some thousand, and you were able to serve 8 families. 7 got down payment assistance for new homes, and 1 got a rehab project.
And then if we could go, Venus, to a slide with Parks and Community Services. And if Director Jensen could answer this question, is just a clarification on the MCSD agreements.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you just explain a little bit what happened between the outdoor program and what actualized with MCSD?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the budget session last year, we were projecting to get funding to salvage an outdoor recreation program that we knew would be subsidized the first half of the year through the BSCC CalVIT program. If you recall, we made a modification to that program model where our outdoor recreation program offered supplemental services to that grant. The second half of the year was not funded, and so we submitted a proposal to Merced City School District to fund the second half of the year of that program. However, because of the nature of that program being pretty niche, a rich service delivery, meaning we're serving few students with several service hours, they chose to pivot and ask us to submit a proposal for our sporting programs. And so that was actually what was awarded, which gave us additional revenue that wasn't projected, but it was different.
And so working in the youth sports based on student participation allows for a higher ceiling than what the outdoor program may have provided?
It does, because as the finance officer alluded to, it is based on how many students sign up, but compared to what our fee schedule is for what those families would pay for that student, the school district pays about $80 in addition to what that family would pay on our typical fee schedule. So it is additional revenue, even though it's different, whereas the outdoor recreation program did not generate any revenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. 2 points, and Mr. Jensen, fair warning, that doesn't involve you, so you can, thank you. Just want to touch on the Calhoun grant again. The city manager and Councilmember DuPont kind of touched my point, but I think well-intentioned, but just want to underscore that the city gave back, what, $1.6, $1.7 million. We helped a handful of families, single-digit number of families, and we have to dip into the general fund to pay the admin costs. I mean, to me, this is an example of why cities should do what cities do and not stretch and do something different that's out of our power zone. I mean, we need to make up the shortfall, but this just seems like it was a bad idea. On the weed abatement, there's very few things that get me more excited than weed abatement. I wonder if Chief Wilson could come back to the microphone.
Is that a Measure White joke?
That too. I got to tell you, Chief, I probably have about $60,000 of weed abatement requests from my D4 residents alone, so you might be a little conservative here. You mentioned that this is for situations where weed growth becomes hazardous. Is that something more than just an owner is not keeping up their lawn and their bushes and it's overgrown?
We typically, we do issue notices to residential properties when yards are overgrown, things like that. Typically, those more fall under the code enforcement purview, though. We're really targeting larger lots, larger fire hazards, ones that are really going to, present a more significant hazard to the community. So as we go out and we survey the city, we will prioritize those high, medium, and low. Because we have not done forest cleaning abatement in a number of years, we don't know exactly what the cost is going to be as far as price per acre and things like that. So this year kind of as a trial, as we go through the budget here between now and the end of the fiscal year, we'll have a better idea. And then as we roll over into July, we're adding in additional funding in next budget year. So we can continue on through July in the next fiscal year to continue abatement. Ideally, we would handle this all up front and try and get all of our hazards abated in the community by, say, mid-June, before 4th of July, so we can help reduce that impact on the community during 4th of July.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need that money in the department so you can be ready by the time we get to fireworks season.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And then a question was raised about, is this work that Public Works can do? And I don't know the answer, but I mean, it seems to me that these are not consented abatement efforts, right? So is there a difference where it needs to be a first responder or a sworn officer that
No,
abates?
we're going to be following our ordinance, and there is a resolution that goes along with it if we do have to, post a lien to a property, things like that. So as far as who does the work, I don't believe it's regulated necessarily. I think that potentially is a possibility. We have just historically hired local contractors to do that work. Oftentimes, a single contractor can't handle them, though, because we are trying to compress them into a short amount of time. By the time we give notices, give time for compliance, go back, do a second notice and final notice, and then get out and abate the property before fire season is in full swing. Sometimes we have to use multiple contractors to accomplish that work in a short amount of time. So, for example, if we hired one employee and had one tractor, that may not be able to keep up to get them done in a timely manner.
Okay. That's all I got, Chief. Thank you very much.
Councilor Dupont.
Thank you, Mayor. One last question. Finance Director Rodriguez mentioned SB 707. You may not have any numbers or anything, but do we have an estimate? And you could say we're still working on it, but an estimate of what we're looking at, an implementation of SB 707?
Jeff's coming to the rescue.
All right. I mean, I could start.
Jeff got moving as soon as he heard SB 707.
So within the next 2 meetings, we'll bring that forward, but there's going to be a number of items that we're going to recommend that are optional. So we want to get input from you of which things that you want to buy. But at a minimum, there will be about $20,000 of general fund. And there could be other expenses related to the public education and government funding that we have dedicated to audiovisual technologies. So there's a dedicated stream of funding just related to technology enhancements for this room. But then there's a set of funding that can't be used for certain components that would have to come from the general fund, which is approximately $20,000.
Okay.
And there'd be one other additional thank you. Would be enhancements for position control for the clerks. We will need additional clerk staffing, a deputy city clerk. So they'll bring forward a resolution for a position control change to add an additional deputy city clerk that would funnel into the next fiscal year.
So we have to add a position.
We have to add a position in the clerk's division.
Is any of this reimbursable?
So yes, no, there is a state mandate. So we'd have to review the state mandate. That process is several years long. If we did see the money, and it's usually pennies on the dollar, but it takes several years before we'd see any reimbursement. And that's if the state approves the reimbursement through a test claim, then the test claim gets approved to a policy procedures guide, then the policy procedures guide gets through the budget funding request at the state, then the state funds it at a percentage level. But it'd be several years before we saw any money from it, if any.
Short answer, no. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, any other questions? Jennifer, anything from the public?
I don't believe we have anything, Mayor.
Okay, no public comment. We'll bring it back to council then for discussion, additional questions, and action. Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for our presentation. About a month ago, I accompanied Director Jensen on a progress tour of the zoo. And he mentioned that there was an area with the tortoise enclosures that needed to be funded that wasn't included in the original funding, and we were going to look at donations to maybe help fund that after everything was complete. It occurs to me that it's probably better done during the construction itself rather than trying to do it afterwards. I believe it's about $30,000 to do. I would ask Director Jensen to help me out with that and tell me where it stands now, if we've gotten any donations. But if that's something we can add to the mid-year, I think it'll be cheaper now than in the future.
Sure, thank you, Councilman. The zoo renovation project is a design build project, and so with design builds, oftentimes you have a preliminary budget with additional or add alts built into that if funding allows and construction is timely and costs are saved. Right now, I am happy to report, although it's not ready to announce publicly yet who, we have had an outside party come to the table to donate towards one exhibit that is an adult. It is not the tortoise exhibit, so we have two that will be complete at the time the construction is finalized, but the tortoise exhibit has not been funded to this point. And you were spot on, it is about a $30,000 adult.
And the timing for that, if we were to get that approved?
Construction's on schedule right now to be complete in May. So we would be looking at the next several weeks to get that on the docket.
Okay. Then I think I'd like to suggest that we add that to the
Yes.
to the mid-year as an adjustment.
So the only question with that would be the funding,
where?
right? Yeah, so the only areas that could fund potentially that, and maybe some might take a little bit of research, is Measure Y. We'd need to see if there's money in the fund balance to be able to do that from the discretionary area. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember. PFFP, so we'd have to see if it qualifies to be, or any portion of it could qualify for PFFP funding. And then the last would be the general fund.
Which is probably where we have the most room.
You have the most discretion, yes, you could do that now versus me having to go off and do some research on the other areas and then coming back.
That would be my suggestion, is to take it from the general fund where we have not only the most discretion, but also the most cost savings to date. Look to my fellow colleagues for any more comments on that.
Okay. All right, on the topic of tortoises and the tortoise exhibit at the zoo, Mr. Jensen, can you provide us with a little more detail about the need, what potential urgency, why wasn't this included potentially? I'm not saying there's a good reason or a bad reason for it, but why wasn't this brought to us?
Absolutely. So as you may recall, the zoo's been under some renovations, not just with the ARPA allocation, but also previous to that, in order to become certified by the Zoological Association of America. That's a credentialing agency that allows us to do more, get more funds from private donors, et cetera. This particular adult wasn't a preliminary mandate because of some of the ADA requirements that we were supposed to meet by American with Disabilities Act due to the age of the facility. And then the primary concern as far as exhibits go were a new exhibit for the American black bears that we have on site. So that was the sole exhibit work that was going to be done, was for the American black bears. As I mentioned, there was an additional exhibit added recently to the scope due to an outside private foundation from a community partner. And this was the obvious choice to move forward with any additional funds that may be acquired.
All right, questions for Chris on the topic of the turtle? Okay. All right, thank you, Councilmember Harris, for bringing that up. What if we will address this, and we can, there's more items on this in terms of mid-year than there were on the consent agenda in terms of the numbers. So it's 13, A through L. So we could potentially, if needed, not saying we do, but council can, if there's any ones you want, to say you support some, don't support others, you can, we can take some of them separately, but turn to council and go, we have items A through L, so we have the city clerk's office remodel, some of the finance switching a position, fire department, weed abatement, fire department defibrillators, police department software, the housing requests, which are listed as G through I on the agenda, engineering with a $110,000 request, and then fleet, and then also budget authority for PBID and TBID, which is L on the list. All right, Councilmember Harris.
Do you need this in the form of a motion? Can I add item M for the exhibit?
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly free to make a motion. You could ask for all of them and then also add an M, including $30,000 for the tortoise exhibit at the zoo.
Let me do that. Let me move to approve items A through L and to add M, a supplemental appropriation for the tortoise exhibit to come from the general fund.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion to approve adding another item. This is $30,000 from the general fund for the tortoise exhibit at the zoo. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Councilmember Jean.
Okay, for G&H, I oppose pulling from the Affordable Housing Fund to supplement housing administrative cost here. I think that, again, I've said this multiple times, especially as we pulled from it pre-4. This fund should be used to leverage affordable housing development and not paid admin. I think they should be paid through the general fund dollars, but not through the Affordable Housing Fund. And so we should look, especially if this is going to be an indicator of the future, we should be looking at how our general fund dollars could be used to supplement the housing division. And so I don't think it should be coming out of the Affordable Housing Fund, and it should just be coming out of the general fund.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Smith.
Well, first, a question for the city attorney. Is this a 5-vote item?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I support all of the requests made by staff with regard to my colleague, Mr. Harris's request to add $30,000 for the tortoise exhibit. You know, I'm all for tortoises in our zoo. I'm very concerned about creating a precedent for council members to throw out something that they're interested in at the last minute that staff did not ask for. What if I wanted $30,000 for tenant advocacy? What if I wanted $30,000 for, I don't know, another canine bullet vest, right? It's not up to me to make that choice. I think there can be a discussion about it that's included in the budget for next year. But for that reason, I won't be supporting this motion. I don't want to create the precedent for this to get out of hand in future councils, including the ones that I saw just not that long ago, using that as a weapon. So I'll be voting no.
Okay, Councilmember Dupont.
Thank you, Mayor. I think somewhere along the lines with my colleague, Councilmember Smith, I think setting the precedent of bringing unknown requests on the dais on a mid-year usurps the budget process. I don't think anybody knew we were taking requests of including mid-year changes to the budget, or I think there would have been a lot more requests, not only from the community, but possibly the departments themselves as well. So for that reason, I will not be supporting this motion.
Okay, Councilmember Harris.
Thank you. First question, Venus, has this happened before where on a mid-year adjustment, suggestions have been made from council?
Trying to remember, I can't think of one. I couldn't say for sure, though. I would have to look back. Sorry.
I think too much is made about it being a precedent. I think the situation is that we've discovered at mid-year that we have extra money, a lot of extra money. And rather than wait an entire budget year and to reopen construction at the zoo, which could impact our operations, costs can go up. This should be done on merit alone and not the fact that if we had discovered that we had this supplement weeks or months ago, then we could have brought it into the budget process, but we didn't. We just found out about this basically last week. So I don't see that it's a defining precedent that we can't do that from the dais. We should have the flexibility to do that and to make any decisions based on merit. So that's all.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't think there's nothing precluding us from doing it. It's just a question of whether or not, council members, and if someone wants to bring it up, wants to support it. I think, too, at the same time, too, there's often a process where something's agendized and then, there's a presentation and folks kind of know what they're getting a little more. Here we have a pretty decent sense, tortoise exhibit at the zoo, while the zoo's under construction. But yeah, in the event, too, the motion fails, I think, certainly you could, you have the power to agendize it and get it back on as quickly as possible with a presentation. All right, anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, 5 votes for, I believe, everything except for B and C, which are the finance, removing the payroll supervisor and adding a senior accountant. So I guess we can call for the question, or else if there's an amendment, Councilmember Harris, to the motion.
No, I'll watch it get voted down.
Okay, all right, call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. The motion will include the adoption of Resolution 2026-14, a resolution of the City Council, the City of Merced, California, amending the classification plan by updating the personnel allocation in the Finance Department by deleting 1 payroll supervisor and adding 1 senior accountant. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion fails.
Okay, with a 4-3, turning to the city attorney, does that pass the items B and C? This is going to be city attorney level 10 right here. Does B and C, the 2 that required 4, so B and C pass? Okay. All right, B and C pass. Is there now? Good.
If I could just add, the motions that required supplemental appropriations is what required the 5 votes.
Got it. Okay. So B and C pass. Any discussion or a separate motion? We now have A and then D through L, and then also the potential issue of the tortoise as well, which is we'll call M.
I move to approve the balance as recommended by staff without modification.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Smith DuPont, that's A and then D through L. Discussion on that motion. Okay, seeing no one, call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Smith and a second by Councilmember DuPont. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes with Councilmember Zhang and Councilmember Harris voting no.
Okay, so those pass, which includes the item unless the tortoise, obviously the tortoise being the slowest now at the end. Is that done? Okay. All right, so we're done, but Councilmember Harris, you're free to agendize that if you'd like.
Okay, agenda item K2, request for general support on preliminary annexation application number 25-02 for the Mission 82 annexation.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I need to recuse myself from this item as the applicant is a client of my firm.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. What if we take a brief break? Will be okay? Take about a 5-minute break, and we'll return. Sorry, Larry, we'll take a brief break. You guys can get set up, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right, we'll reconvene and with reports. Jennifer.
We're still on action item K2.
Oh, you're right.
Request
Sure.
for general support on preliminary annexation application number 25-02 for the Mission 82 annexation.
Thank you. Valeria.
Good evening. I am Valeria, Associate Planner here for the City of Merced Planning Department. The project I have before you today is pre-annexation number 25-0002, also known as the Mission 82 project. Here you can see a map of where the project site is located in a city scale context. The project site is 110.6 acres located at the southwest corner of East Mission Avenue and Mariano Way on the east side of Highway 99. Here are the steps taken when an applicant submits for a pre-annexation application. Once city staff receives the pre-annexation application, we will schedule a development review meeting with the applicant and other city departments. After said meeting, we schedule the project to be heard by City Council, at which City Council will indicate support or non-support for the application. And lastly, the applicant decides if they want to proceed with the formal annexation application or not. Some details on the pre-annexation itself. Like I mentioned previously, it's a 110.6 acre annexation that is currently designated general agricultural in the Merced County General Plan. The city has the site designated as general commercial reserve for 42 acres and business park reserve for 46 acres. The remaining 22.6 acres are outside the sphere of influence and were not considered as part of the City of Merced's general plan. The annexation encompasses 23 parcels, with 18 of those being 10,000 square foot lots with existing homes all along Londo Avenue. The zoning designations proposed for this site include R110, R16, R15, and R2, with general plan designations of low-density residential, which allow 2 to 6 dwellings per acre, and low-medium density residential that allows 6 to 12 unit dwellings per acre. With those density ranges, we are looking at a potential development of up to 1,056 single-family lots. As part of this application, there will also be a request to amend the city's sphere of influence for the easterly 22.6 acres of the project site. The project site is outlined in blue in the map you have before you, and the city limits in red, with the sphere of influence displayed in a yellow dotted line you see on your screen. This map here shows the existing general plan designations for the site. In red are the approximate 42 acres of commercial reserve, and in purple are approximately 46 acres of business park reserve. Here is the proposed layout of the general plan designations with low-medium density residential in orange and low-density residential in yellow in between two sections of low-medium density. This is the proposed zoning and how it would be laid out through the project site. Each different zoning will determine things like lot sizes, setbacks, and lot coverage to be consistent with the City of Merced's zoning ordinance. The development would include 4 different residential zoning designations with minimum lot sizes of 3,000 square feet for R2 zone, 5,000 square feet in the R1 zone, 6,000 square feet in the R16 zone, and 10,000 square feet in the R110 zone that accommodate the existing homes that are already that size. The chart on the screen also shows the range of units each zoning designation could potentially develop based on the number of acres and minimum lot sizes of each zoning designation. As part of the pre-application, the applicant also provided potential phasing on when they anticipate the development to happen after annexation. Phase 1 would start immediately and anticipate starting on the final phase within 3 to 5 years of the completion of Phase 1. This map shows the order of said phasing and the acreage of each. Although we don't have any tentative maps at this time, the applicant has provided a circulation plan for major roadways in the development. This plan is consistent with City of Merced's general plan circulation element. Once we receive the proposed tentative maps, we will review for consistency and forward to other city departments to review for adequate layout and development standards. The proposed annexation was forwarded to Merced Police Department and reviewed. Staff did not receive any comments. This map here shows where the proposed site is located, marked in a yellow star, and the distance to the police station, marked in a red star. The proposed was also sent to Merced Fire Department, who stated that the site would be adequately served with the development of a future fire station on the southwest corner of East Girard Avenue and future Plime Drive. If the annexation were to move forward, these are some of the entitlement processes that the development would go through, which include environmental review, annexation and pre-zone determination, general plan amendment, pre-annexation and development agreement, tentative and final maps, and a sphere of influence amendment, as well as to be adopted by LAFCO. I also wanted to share with council this map that includes other development happening in this area of the city. A couple months ago, the City Council approved a development of 570 homes just north of this project at the city's planning department is currently processing other applications, including general plan amendments and annexations on both sides of Highway 99. Residential, commercial, and other open space projects are underway and in different stages of the process. This map displays them all together for perspective. What staff and the applicant request from tonight is for council to consider and provide general support or non-support for the Mission 82 annexation moving forward. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for questions. The applicant is here and their engineering team is also here as well.
Okay, thank you, Blair. Any questions? All right. Jennifer, anything from the public?
We do have one from Stephen Maxey.
Okay. And is Mr. Maxey with the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. 15. Mr. Maxey, you'll have 15 minutes, sir.
I will not take all 15 minutes, I assure you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Steve Maxey, representing the Fagundes family, who are the applicant for the project. Tony Fagundes is here representing the family this evening. First, I want to thank staff for their time. Ms. Renteria, Mr. Roche, both been extremely professional, extremely responsive in this. So big thanks to them and their other city departments that have reviewed the project. Here asking tonight for City Council support to move forward with annexation, continue to work with your staff to refine the project through the annexation process, study it through our environmental review process, and then return to City Council here in the future. With that, I'm available for any questions council may have, as well as our engineering team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maxey. Any questions for Mr. Maxey? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring it back to council for additional questions, discussion, or action. All right. Just one general comment. Given the number of potential annexations in this area, one, and two, some of the zone changes that were requested as well with additional housing, has there been, and then also two, you want to make it even more complicated, the potential for the high-speed rail station to relocate in this area. Has there, either what are the possibilities or what are the potential for some sort of bigger plan for the whole area, because there's a lot in flux and a lot. So that everything would being able to, the development would proceed as orderly as possible and potentially complement the other developments. Yeah, go ahead.
Mayor, I think your staff did a good job here. I think you're starting to see the plan right here, right? So in terms of like the big picture orderly development, you're in a perfect spot for that because you're the chairperson for your General Plan Advisory Committee, right? So that's going to be the process by which we carry this forward. And the reality is these individual plans that you see here tonight, like in this exhibit, they're going to be ingrained in that process. So these proposed uses you got here are kind of taking into consideration what the market is looking for now with the proposed changes along Mission, Campus Parkway, east and west. You're starting to see the picture of how that's going to come together. So, I mean, this is really it. This is the broad perspective from about 5,000 square feet. You can kind of see how it's all going to work. And the reality is you need to have the residential to kind of support the commercial and business park development. Having too much industrial is fantastic. Having too much commercial is nice, but it doesn't really practically work unless you've got the residential nearby to make it work for you. And so I think you're going to see the opportunities kind of present themselves where you've got some development opportunities next to the freeway. You got a lot of commercial here on the project to the left screen, my left screen. We got these RCC. These are all commercial opportunities that would run north-south and east-west along Mission. Same thing along Campus Parkway. The purple and the red are opportunities. I mean, I already know what's happening at the intersection there with Mission and Coffee. So, I mean, you kind of see the commercial and business park opportunities where they're clustered and where the residential would be. And I would also note, like up there around Cone Avenue and Girard, more business parks. So this is kind of the plan. This is probably how it will get presented into your general plan. And then what we haven't talked about is anything past, like, let's say Tower Road or too far south of Mission or anything on the other side. So, I mean, this is where you start. But the general plan, if you look at the map over there, it really doesn't tell you anything past that because we don't know at this point. We're going to figure it out as we go forward.
Yeah. I mean, there's a pretty remarkable opportunity as we move into the general plan and all this is coming online and potentially, with the station as well. And there's a unique kind of window of opportunity where we, with good planning can really, I think, do an exceptional job here. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Ms. Renteria, good job. You got all the hard ones. I don't know what's going on. I got to talk to this guy. General support, yes. I do have some concerns, or maybe these are just talking points. Number one, that's a big build in terms of number of homes. I haven't done any diligence on with this proposal or the developer or the family or anything, but that's going to be an expensive first phase if what the slide showed is 500 homes to 1,000 homes in total. I'm going to just trust that that can be pulled off from a financial perspective. Building up against the freeway concerns me a little bit for two reasons. One, I had always heard that the greatest thing about this gateway development was the fact that we had freeway adjacent commercial. And so this looks to me like we're building homes on top of what might have been the last piece of freeway adjacent commercial, at least as shown on this slide in Valeria's presentation. So just call that a talking point. And then with regard to the station, I had the same thought as the mayor. I think we should be careful not to talk about like there's already a decision that the station is going there. But I would just caution the planning department and the developer to think about what the High-Speed Rail Authority is communicating to us, that they want land use authority and taxing authority within a half mile of where they think a station is going to go. I will express no opinion on those requests at this time, but it seems that you're right there in the blast area. And I think that's going to create some complicated issues that have to be worked out either way. So, it's an ambitious project. I agree with the mayor and the city manager that we need some rooftops to make the commercial make sense. And so I don't see why I couldn't be here, but to the extent that I'm anywhere close to being on base, I'd hope the project sponsors think about these things I brought up.
Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt a motion indicating general support.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion from Councilmember Harris, second from Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Pending discussion. Councilmember Jean.
So I'm not in support as it currently is presented. It's all pretty much low-density residential. There's no affordable units with high, medium-density residential. The fact that there's no business park, if we look at the other two annexation projects that are nearby, I think we're missing a few things here. And so I am not in support of pre-annexation.
Additional comments? Okay. Just, yeah, briefly, I stand in support. I think there's if you look at all these things that have come before us in the last few months, potential, 10,000 plus residential units in this area. So there's just a massive potential for growth. And I think it's incumbent upon us to really to do it right and do it as well as possible, and to be cognizant of a whole host of factors as well. So, I support, but, certainly we, as everybody's well aware, in the level of detail and precision that Scott can give on this certainly indicates that he's aware. We need to do it right. And this is an opportunity, a significant expansion of our city. And, again, it's just really important that we use this brief window of opportunity to really design this as a great southern entry point to our community. All right, additional comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for the question.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Boyle. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, and the motion passes with Councilmember Zhang voting no and Councilmember DuPont recusing himself.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. We'll invite Councilmember DuPont back in. Now we'll move to L, reports.
Agenda item L, reports. L1, presentation from the City Manager's Office on the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Public Assistance Program as it relates to the January 23 and March 23 storms.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Sarah, I'm Management
Evening, Sarah.
Analyst.
1 second, let's let Councilmember DuPont get back inside. Here he is. Okay. All right, go ahead.
I'm here to give a high-level overview on the reimbursement money that we received from FEMA for the January and February storms. For the January storms, all the damages were comprised into 13 or consolidated into 13 projects, and for the March storm, all the damages were consolidated into 5 projects. The January storm was severe enough throughout the state of California that the presidential emergency declaration stated that any work within the first 60 days was reimbursed at 100% federal share or paid by FEMA. Any work after the 60 days in January storm and then all of March was at the normal 75-25 split, with FEMA taking 75%. And of the remaining 25%, Cal OES was going to pay or reimburse 18.75, and the city's responsible for 6.25% of the cost. This spreadsheet shows you all of the projects for the January 2023 storm. The gray bar there is the project, the loan project that has not been completed yet. That work will happen concurrently when we do the permanent repairs for Bear Creek. The 2 items that are in red font, actually it's 1 item in red font, that is Cal OES admin allowance. That's time for staff to put together the numbers for these projects. That will not be reimbursed until after Cal OES closes out the projects. So money that's been received completely for the January storm is $2,544,594.09. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the FEMA cost share. You can see in the 3rd column, those are the projects that were done within 60%. The remaining projects were the 75-25 split. March storm, we have the Cal OES allowance for admin costs, but then we also have FEMA who allows up to 5% for admin costs. We have not been reimbursed those yet. That will happen after closeout. So for the March storm, reimbursement that we've received so far is $462,552.63. So the total for both storms that we've received is $3,007,146.72. So where did this money go? For the one project that has not been completed yet, my CIP was set up for that. For the emergency repair for the levees where Rolf delivered riprap, that money was borrowed from a storm drain CIP. We returned that money that was received. And then the rest of the reimbursements were either deposited into the department's cost recovery account, or it reimbursed the general fund for previously allocated storm expenses as designated by council at their February 21st, 2023 meeting. Questions?
Questions for Ms. Knudsen? Okay, Jennifer, anything from the public on this?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Back to council. Additional questions, discussion, information item only, so. All right, seeing none. Sarah, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate all the work. And thanks again.
Okay, agenda item M, business. M1, request to add item to future agenda.
Okay, starting on my right, Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Nothing this evening.
Councilor Dupont.
Nothing tonight.
Councilor Jean.
Nothing.
Councilor Harris.
Nothing.
Councilor Smith.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilor Tapp.
Nothing.
All right. I had two. One is a request for a downtown ad hoc subcommittee. There's been a number of items that have come up recently on with respect to downtown. I think it'd be fruitful to do that. And then second would be a desire to host some sort of volunteer fair sometime in April. April's Volunteer Month. And we would just have something, unsure exactly what it would look like. We could either do it one weeknight or a weekend where folks, one, who have a need for volunteer services, two, have the ability to provide volunteers, such as the schools, or three, have the ability to kind of network between them. You know, for example, UC Merced has their Community Engagement Center, which has a website. There's other ways as well, but just as doing a better way to connect the people in the community who need volunteer work and offer volunteer opportunities with those who would be interested in taking them. So that is it. My two requests, both would, if we could have them accelerated, I'd also make that motion as well. But is there anybody else in support either of a downtown ad hoc or hosting a volunteer fair in April? Would request a second if anybody's willing to do so. Okay. All right, I guess both fail. Okay, moving on.
Okay, agenda item M2, city council comments.
All right, council comments. Starting on my left, Councilmember Tapp.
No comments.
Councilmember Smith.
I just want to report, we all meet with our constituents, but I had a notable conversation with a gentleman on Saturday morning. He probably doesn't want me to use his name, so I won't, but he vociferously, over the course of about an hour, thanked us and thanked our city for being a place that he is very pleased to live in and raising his grandchildren. And so I wanted to pass that along. It's not something that I hear all the time when I meet with constituents, I'll be honest. So it was very much appreciated. He did also echo a concern I've heard from a number of constituents. I think you guys have as well. We've got some utility installation work going around some of our arterials, and residents are complaining, I think correctly, that the patchwork on the road is not up to standard. And it's a concern, right, because we struggle to keep our roads together. So I'll just share with you, I had a conversation with Mr. McBride about it. He's going to get some more information. It's possible that this company still needs to get back in the road, so residents should stay tuned. Thank you.
Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your leadership in the Applegate Park soiree yesterday. It was well received, and I still get emails and calls about it, and something we probably need to do more regularly around the city. But
No, thank you
took
for
the
your
lead on
generosity
that.
and support of it.
My pleasure. That was all.
All right, Councilmember Jean.
So typically I don't like speaking at these item. I just don't really care for it. There's been a lot that's been going on in our community, right? And it's easy to see neglect from our government, right? To see millions of our tax dollars used to kill folks abroad. To see our government terrorizing our own people, locking them up in cages, deporting them, separating families. To see the private housing industry put profit before housing people. For folks to go hungry and fight for a grocery store in South Merced. The Central Valley produces 25% of the nation's food. Nobody here should be hungry. And there's a lack of accountability as pedophiles control our nation and continue to abuse our kids. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican thing, right? They're just both as corrupt, in my opinion. And they're complacent in ensuring that this system continues. With the recent shooting, it pains me that a young person is involved, right? Be it from localized violence or recruitment to our military or being hit by a car, right, when we don't prioritize pedestrians. I think we, as a community, need to move forward and start really thinking about how do we defend our communities against a government of pedophiles, right? A government that's recognized by everyone as the single greatest threat to world peace, right? A government that is addicted to war and terrorizes its own people. We need to, with the grand scope of what's happening here, we need to demand that our tax dollars bring us food, right? Housing, education, and healthcare. It's just absurd, especially what's been going on locally and then what's been going on outside of Merced. So, yeah, it's frustrating.
Councilor DuPont.
Nothing tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem Boyle.
Nothing this evening.
Okay. Yeah, just a few things. Thank you to Councilmember Harris and everyone else who participated in our barbecue at Applegate Park. Chris, Casey, everybody, Chief Stanfield as well, police, fire, everybody who came out. We served up over 300 hot dogs, and kids were everywhere all over the park. So it was really about kind of retaking that space, and it was really great to interact with everybody. And we all need to keep pushing forward and do better. And big congrats or big thanks to everybody, all the groups that are kind of starting to come together and coalesce to try to address long-term cultural change and other things that'll help us to do better as a community. And I also had the privilege to attend the Rescue Mission groundbreaking for their next phase of their Village of Hope's campus. The Rescue Mission's really done extraordinary work, and I think they're building what could be truly a first-rate homeless services campus off Cone Avenue. So they're breaking ground now in their next phase. They're super ambitious. They have about 4 or 5 more phases planned in the near term with hundreds of housing units down there. So really looking to make an impact and very humbled by everything they're able to accomplish. That's it, Jennifer.
Agenda item N, adjournment.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
If I could make one request on that. Officer Eduardo Chavez, a friend and someone who's served a long time with the police department, he's retiring. I think his walk is tomorrow at noon, so if we could do so in recognition of his years of service. Let each other. Is there a second?
A second as amended.
All right.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Harris and a second by Councilmember Smith. Mayor and council, please cast your votes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.